All right. So welcome, namaste, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our usual Saturday get together. This is the third session of Meditation 101, the meditation course presented by Choe Khor Sum Ling, the FPMT Center in Bangalore. So by now, I hope you're all getting a bit of momentum in your practice. So I hope you're all doing your homework very diligently. Yes? Okay, good. So yeah, let's just start with a bit of meditation then. And this will be a review of the techniques that we've already gone over. But it's, good to review, and it's also good to practice together. Oh, and Nitesh, is my video highlighted?
Yes, it is. Yeah, you're on the speaker
Oh,
mode.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I see everyone. Okay, it's good.
Yeah,
All
you
right,
can be in the gallery mode, but we're recording in the speaker mode.
perfect. Okay, thank you. All right, so yeah, let's get started. So everyone, please get into a comfortable meditation position. So all of you should know the 7-point meditation posture by now. Now I see Vishaka is joining. So anyway, the 7-point posture, the most important, of course, is to just be sitting up straight. But if you want to go through the 7 points individually, you can start with the bottom up, right? So, sitting comfortably cross-legged. You can have your hands in the lap. Remember the Dharani mudra like this. Left hand down and the right hand on top. And then, yeah, make sure that your spine is somewhat straight and that you're not leaning forward or back or to the sides. And usually, if you find it more comfortable, you sit on a cushion, and that will just make sure that your tailbone is just slightly above your knees, right? So the cushion will just be kind of under your butt, but not, your knees will then be on the bed or the larger cushion that you're sitting on. Yeah. And then make sure that there's a little bit of space between your elbows and your body. And then it's good, oftentimes we have rounded shoulders, so you can just roll them up and back. Make sure your scapula, your shoulder blades are in line with your body and that you're not sort of, hunched over. And then we just gently tuck our neck in like that. And then we keep our mouth closed, but our teeth natural, not clenched, You can have your eyes just slightly open to allow some light in. And then just take a few minutes to, or a few moments to just take an overall scan of the body, make sure that your meditation posture is nice and proper. Also connecting with the feelings in the body, the sensations in the body, help us come back to the present moment. So just really get this sense that now you're sitting. And then what we forgot last week, but is actually the most important, is to just set a positive motivation. So remember that we're not just doing this practice, we're not engaging in meditation for some, small temporary benefit. like we're stressed out and we don't want to feel that stress anymore, so we're going to meditate. No, we need to expand our motivation, thinking that actually the point is that we can develop our minds, develop our internal qualities, so that we can, yes, bring more peace and benefit to ourselves, but more importantly, since all the living beings are just like us, equal in wanting happiness and not wanting to suffer, we see that as we increase in our own qualities, knowledge, skills, and ability, we'll be able to be of more benefit to others. And eventually, when we do reach the state of our highest potential, which is the state of enlightenment, then we'll be able to lead all other living beings to that state as well. Okay, so try to keep that motivation throughout the session. And then we're going to continue with the nine round breathing that was part of your homework, but I didn't have a chance to go over it last week. So let's go through it now. So remember, we're visualizing the 3 channels of the body, the right, blue, and left channel, right? Sorry, the right, left, and central channel. The central channel is blue, okay? So, you know, the 2 left and right channels kind of go with your nostrils. The 3rd channel is the space between your eyebrows, okay? So then, you know, it curls up along the top of your head and goes down sort of parallel with your spine. And the 2 left and right channels, then normally they sort of enter the central channel. But for the purpose of this meditation, you know, like a straw, we first imagine that we kind of disconnect the right and left channels with the central channel. And instead, you know, like if you connect 2 straws together, we do like that, okay? So the right channel is red and the left channel is white, central channel is blue, okay? And they meet at a place about 4 fingers below your navel, okay? So now, while you have that visualization, okay, then so you can you can open your eyes for a second, okay? So one of my lamas said like this: how you actually close your nose, how you close your nostrils, you make this is called a Vajra fist. So you put your thumbs at the base of your ring finger, right? Make a fist. Then have those fists on your knees, okay? And then with the right index finger, you block the left nostril like this, okay? So now we do 9 rounds. So again, remember the ratio. We would breathe in, say for 4, hold for 4, and then breathe out for 8, okay? So depending if you're an Olympic swimmer, you could maybe do, you know, 8, 8, 16. If you have, you know, asthma or something, you do less, right? So it depends on you. Okay, so let's do. So breathe in slowly through the right nostril. And then imagine that this breath is going down the right channel. Now hold. And then you move so that your right nostril is closed, and then exhale. So the air goes out of your left nostril. And now exhale slowly and fully. And imagine that all the impurities, distraction, mental dullness are expelled with the breath. Now round 2, again, closing the left nostril, breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then close the right nostril and exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so the last time on this side, again, closing the left nostril, breathing in. Hold it. And now exhale, dispelling again all of the agitation, all of the mental dullness, all of the obscurations. Okay. So now we switch our hands. So now we use our left hand to block the right nostril. And again, we inhale through the left nostril. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. Block the left nostril and exhale for 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Second round. Inhale. And exhale. And the last round, inhale. Hold it. And exhale through the right nostril. And now you can have both hands on your knees and do the breathing through both nostrils. Holding it. And exhale, again, thinking as you breathe out, all the impurities leave through the point between your two eyebrows, but the essential energy actually dissolves into that central channel that we're visualizing. Second round, inhale. And exhale. So last time, inhaling through both nostrils. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. And you can try to feel the blissful energy at your navel chakra. And now exhale again for 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so now settle into the natural rhythm of the breath. Again, not trying to hold or count the breaths for a certain number of seconds, but rather just to Breathe naturally, very effortlessly. Just attuning oneself to the sensations in the body as we breathe in and out, without commenting, without chattering. And so now we're going to review the mind like an ocean meditation. So here, then we loosen our focus on the breath a little bit. And first, as intermediate step, we do the bare attention meditation. So there's a question that came up. When we're practicing the bare attention meditation, then whatever appearance to the mind is most strong in the present moment, that then becomes the object of our meditation. So for some, if the mind is somewhat peaceful, then maybe those sensations that we were feeling associated with the breath will remain the strongest. But then if a thought comes, if a sound comes, if a memory comes, whatever it is, then remember we're practicing this bare attention means that we are mindful, we know what is happening, but the bare aspect means there's no commenting. We can have a first thought, but by not engaging with it, then we don't allow a second thought to bring us down, a whole sort of train of thoughts. And now we continue. We continue by dropping this duality of the observer and the observed. So not thinking that there's an I and then there's a sound or a thought, and this I is somehow experiencing those sounds, those thoughts, those sensations, but rather just try to rest in the vast expanse of awareness, dropping the duality between the subject and the object. So when we say we liken our minds to the sky, then just like in the vast expanse of the sky, there might be birds, there might be planes, there might be clouds, but the all-encompassing nature of the sky is so much vaster than all of that. So similarly, in our field of experience, yes, there might be sounds, there might be physical sensations, there might be thoughts, but the vast expanse of awareness pervades all of that. So now similarly with the ocean analogy, yes, there are fish that might be swimming in the ocean. There might be coral reefs or whatever it is. There might be waves on the surface of the ocean. But again, the ocean is all encompassing. The very medium that all the sea dwelling creatures live. So the various thoughts, the various experiences are like the different fish. If we get caught up in the individual fish. We lose sight of the expanse of the ocean. So here when we practice this meditation, if different thoughts come, when different sounds come, we don't engage. Try to just stay in the broader expanse of the vastness of awareness itself. Okay. So gently come out of meditation. All right. So, hi. Yeah, as I mentioned last week, since this is a official FPMT course, I have a syllabus that I'm trying to follow, but I already noticed that the motivation and meditation, I've gone over time. But I did get a few comments from some people saying that they wanted more time for the meditation. So yeah, there you go. We didn't do this meditation last week, so I thought it was important to sort of go over it. But now what FPMT is asking me to do is to now check in with the class participants. So ask how things are going. If there are any questions that came up, I did get some questions over, electronically. But are there any confusing or unclear points that that we need to go over? If not, I will go over the questions that were submitted. So why don't I start with that, okay? All right, so this is the first kind of comment. I have been doing meditation and listening to your lectures over and over again. Till now, I didn't get that perfect round of meditation. So, yeah. this is worth saying at the beginning, right? So she also had a question that how can we, change our habits and thoughts? How can meditation help us to do this? How can we train our mind? Okay. So, generally in life, right? The saying, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? So the greater kind of accomplishment or project you're trying to undertake, generally speaking, the longer it's going to take to accomplish it, right? We know this from experience, right? So especially now when we are talking about becoming enlightened Buddhas, okay, then it's just helpful to have a bit of perspective that Shakyamuni Buddha, or Gautam Buddha, the Buddha of our time, it is said that he trained and practiced. Yes, in this life he attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, but for countless rebirths, actually it says 3 countless great eons, then he trained on the Bodhisattva path. So just for you who might appreciate the math, a countless eon actually is 10 to the 59th power. That means 10, and then 59 zeros. Okay, so then that that many zeros times 3, and that's how many eons, which is a insane long amount of time that the Buddha trained. So sometimes I'm not even sure if that is meant to be literal, but at the very least, it should really expand our notion of the time horizons that we're looking at for what it's going to take for us to become enlightened, right? One great master, Tibetan master Choe Rinpoche, said, if you practice with fantasized, means unrealistic expectations, then you're only going to get fantasized results. Okay. So I hate to break it to you, but probably most of us are not going to become enlightened in this lifetime. Even if you are going to become enlightened in this lifetime, you're not going to do it in these 5 weeks. Okay. So for now, what we're trying to do is just slowly build our foundation for practice. And after 2 weeks, oh, I haven't gotten the perfect meditation session yet. Well, I tell you, forget about 2 weeks. I would almost wager in 20 years, you're not going to get the perfect meditation session, right? Maybe not even in 20 lifetimes, right? So right now, we're not so focused on, judging our meditation sessions to be good or bad because, oh, we were so concentrated today. Oh, what a great meditation session, I had a blissful experience today. Oh, what a great meditation session. Oh, but then tomorrow my mind was so distracted. I was, my mind was wandering all over the place. Okay, bad meditation session. We have to kind of drop those sort of self-judgment and kind of grading each meditation session in that way. Right now, I think I mentioned this last week, but we're trying to go for the quantity before the quality in some way, right? If we remember, right? I think I talked about this, the bell curve, right? So in a large enough sample size, you're going to get some really outliers on the good side, some outliers on the bad side, but you just, build up the numbers, and sooner or later, if you have 1,000, a sample size of 1,000 meditation sessions, yeah, you probably will have some where you are going to, be perfectly concentrated, no pain in the body, no thoughts appearing, but you also, to have those good ones, you're also going to have to practice through days where the meditation session will be very difficult. Okay, so our point is to persevere through those ups and downs. And I was mentioning this last week. If we're sort of just aware, we're actually getting a very good education about how our mind works. Because we might have a time when it's great, perfectly concentrated, for a week, and then day 8 comes around, and it's like worse than our first meditation session, and we might not be able to point to any particular reason why that happened, but then we get a lesson. Okay, yeah, my mind is still not always under my control. Okay, that's good. We get to know our minds. There's one saying that when we study Buddhism, we're actually studying ourselves, right? So we need to know how the mind works, and our meditation practice is going to help us do that. So anyway, don't be discouraged if you think that we didn't get a perfect meditation. Have a very long-term perspective, and then be able to put in consistent effort over a long period of time. That's the way that we're going to make progress. It's not about, and especially, I'm asking you guys for your homework to do 10, 15 minutes meditation a day, right? It'd be one thing if we were doing, one of these Vipassana retreats where we're meditating 14 hours a day, right? Then when you're putting in that much sort of effort, and you're really limiting your worldly activities and so forth, yeah, maybe some of you who've done that or will do that in the future, maybe you'll see on day 4, day 5, some kind of settling of the mind, But if you're meditating 15 minutes a day and the rest of the time you're, in your worldly life, it's very difficult to see a practice bear fruit in such a short period of time under such conditions. Okay, so please be patient with yourself, and just be happy that you're putting in your daily practice. Okay, because as they say, meditation is habituation, familiarization. So habit, we're trying to build a meditation habit first, right? That means to do a daily practice, no matter what, right? We're feeling great, we're feeling not so great, we're tired, we're, running late. We just, whatever is going on in our life, we just have build the discipline that we're going to now do the meditation practice on a daily basis. Okay. So the next question this person had was, she feels heavy and sleepy after every meditation. So after yoga, I take my breakfast, tea, then start meditation. Is any condition that we shouldn't do meditation just after eating? And so, yes, actually, it's not recommended to do meditation just after eating. It's best to do on an empty stomach. So maybe, if you do some yogic exercises in the morning, you can do your meditation. Some like to do their seated meditation after yoga. I'll leave it up to you. I do a little bit of, prostrations in the morning, and then I do my seated meditation. So I personally find it good to kind of get the blood flowing first, and then do meditation. But by all means, yes, most of the meditators say, yeah, to meditate on an empty stomach is better. That's why in some of the meditation retreats, there is this practice of, oops, not eating dinner. So that is because the body gets quite heavy when all the blood goes down to the stomach. It causes drowsiness. So okay. So remember how I was saying I'm doing my plan B for this internet connection? Now I'm going to have to switch back to plan A because plan B involved using my iPad, and now my battery is out. So I'm going to have to switch and re-log into this Zoom call, okay? Okay? So actually, yeah, just hold on. I'll log back in, okay? Got that. All right. So the next question we had is, okay, how does the visualization imagination work? When I see the mind like the sky or the ocean, then the mind sometimes tends to become engaged in that thought process only, which I guess doesn't serve the purpose. Okay. So yeah, when we do this meditation on the nature of the mind being like the sky or the ocean, it's not like we keep repeating to ourselves like a mantra, my mind is like the sky, my mind is like the sky, right? It's more that, okay, excuse me. Okay, so remember how we were sort of gradually building out this meditation, right? We start with the breath, okay, where we have a very, concrete and, discrete object of our meditation. And then when we go to bare awareness, then it's like, okay, whatever is going into our field, we're aware of. But there's still this duality between the observer and then, okay, there's a thought. So it's still like, I'm observing the thought, I'm observing the pain, right? So we keep sort of taking, if we do like, Google Maps, right? And you keep like zooming out, out, right? So then we sort of drop this subject object duality, and then, like the sky being very expansive, okay, our overall field of awareness is going to include the five senses, right? As well as the mental consciousness where these thoughts arise, okay? So now, bear in mind, this is actually a quite advanced topic, right? And it falls as a kind of prelude into the teachings on Mahamudra, where you're actually using the nature of the mind as the object of meditation. So it is a quite subtle thing. So don't beat yourself up if it's difficult within the first week we're trying to do this. But using this thought, this example of the mind like the sky or the mind like the ocean, we abstract away a bit more and just kind of rest in this sort of all-pervasive awareness of what's going on. But again, we're not identifying, we're not fixating on anything. We're just sort of letting awareness be aware. Does that make sense? Right? Okay? And it's not even now I am aware, right? It's just, there's just awareness. not I am being aware, just awareness, right? So it's almost like, yeah, I think this might have been in the handout, right? It was quite a nice analogy of going to the aquarium, right? Where, you go up to the glass and you see all the fish, but since the water is clear, if you're not sort of paying attention or looking for the water, you see the fish because they're colorful, they're moving around, all this stuff, right? So similarly, in our in our various awarenesses, there's a thought that comes, and we get quite fixated on the thought. There's a sound that comes, and then it's like, okay, there's a sound, right? But what is the overall kind of substratum? Do you guys know that word? What is the sort of medium in which, just like the water is the medium in which the fish are swimming, what is the medium in which all of these thoughts, sounds, things are arising? That's a question, right? So similarly, yeah, we got a comment. Yeah, that's right. So it's an analogy to give an example of how the mind is, right? So yes, you are right, Varsha. It's an analogy. It's an example, right? So one thing, that is, I think, sometimes helpful too, which I've been taught by one of my teachers in the past, is this kind of meditation. Sometimes you will start with focusing more on sounds, right? So especially, if you're in a place, here's actually where you want a little bit more sound, right? And so you start in this meditation, okay? And then you hear a sound from this side. You'll hear a sound over there. You'll hear a sound in the distance, okay? So now you can ask yourself, is the sound somehow out there, right? Coming to your mind? Is your mind, which is kind of in here, is it going out there to the sound, right? Or, I don't know, is there a third option? The mind itself arises in the nature of awareness of the sound, but there's no sound apart from the mind? Anyway, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but those are just some things to maybe ponder, or just see how you experience these various sounds, right? So it seems, maybe this is a hypothesis, there's kind of this feeling that we have, when we're really caught up in the duality of it. It's like there's sounds out there and they come in, Well, yes, but maybe we can say that about the sound waves, right? The sound waves might be out there, but where is the sound, right? This kind of goes to our famous question from the Zen tradition. If a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, does it make a sound, right? Anyway. I hope that helps, but sometimes it's I get a little bit ahead of myself, and I go off maybe more than what the question is going after. But the overall process is that, right? the analogy of the fish swimming in the ocean. So the ocean is the medium where the fish are inhabiting and swimming. Okay. So now, what is the medium that makes the thoughts able to arise, the sounds able to arise? You know, what's that? Okay. All right. And then our last question that was submitted, we had, what is the object of concentration of the bare attention meditation? So yeah, I said this in the instructions at the beginning of the session, right? So that object of awareness in the bare meditation is whatever is most prevalent in the mind, right? So in one sense, I think we talked about this last week as well. You know, in one sense, we say, oh, we shouldn't be switching our object of focus, right? In the context of one meditation session. But here, you know, remember we were talking about what mindfulness means, and there's the two senses of mindfulness, right? This is what I said, this would be a good exam question, right? So remember, in the Shamatha context, we have mindfulness being the ability for the mind to, you know, trempa is the Tibetan word, which also means remember or hold on to the object. But then the sort of when especially how Vipassana is and mindfulness is taught in the West, mindfulness means this kind of awareness of what's going on in the present moment, this non-judgmental awareness that we were talking about, right? So the bare attention is actually the mindfulness of what is going on in our present, you know? So sometimes, you know, this is what I was saying. It's like we use, and it's very good to start with the breath, but then we sort of loosen, right? We loosen the breath. We loosen the focus on the breath. Because normally, if we're just focusing on the breath and something else appears, right? Let's say we have some sensation. Okay, this is what I'm experiencing now. My hands are cold. Okay, so I might be sitting in meditation, and you know, there's some sensation of coldness in my hands. But if I'm just doing the breath meditation, I'm focused on the breath, and though there might be some coldness in the hands, if it's not very overwhelming, if it's not very strong, I just stay with my breath, right? But here with the bare meditation, bare awareness meditation, it's like, okay, we loosen a bit the focus on the hands, and the focus on the breath. And then, okay, now, yes, I feel that cold sensation. That's sort of the strongest thing. So I observe that sensation of cold. Again, not commenting, not saying, oh my gosh, why is it so cold? Oh, I hate the winter in Nepal. I wish I was in South India. You know, no kind of, you know, this chatter commenting, you know, mental commentary, but just bare attention. We notice there's a sensation. Or yeah, we can even label it, you know, yes, it's cold. There's a sensation of cold. Okay. Then when a thought comes, okay, there's a thought. So that, whatever is sort of most prevalent, most coming up in our realm of experience, that we, you know, remember the watcher on the bank of the river, okay, just watching things go by, right? So you can imagine, you know, if in the river, you know, there's a piece of driftwood, there's some leaves, there's whatever that's going by, you know, it's just like, okay, sensation of cold, leaf, you know, whatever it is, you know, we just observe, bare attention. So in that sense, you know, the object of focus is this stream of experience. And we're going to have experiences from all our five consciousnesses. I mean, I don't know about smells, but maybe, you know, if in your home someone is cooking up some, you know, masala or something, you might get it in your room. But normally you might not have many sounds, sorry, many smells. Um, yeah, I hope that helps. Okay. So that is the questions. Is there any more questions from this group here? No?
Yes, please.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes.
Call upon to not eat maybe non-veg or some kinds of food.
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of the question.
The meditations here call upon not eating non-veg or some kind of food,
Right.
like garlic or something that causes inflammation.
Yeah. Okay. So, now, in general, okay, many times when one does a serious meditation retreat, then there are some traditions that will say avoid the so-called black foods being, you know, meat, eggs, onion, garlic, radish, and, you know, some of these foods like this, because, you know, there is a connection between the body and the mind, and some of those foods, they can, you know, disturb the mind. They can cause certain subtle energies, particularly, you know, energy around desirous attachment, um, anger. It can cause those to arise more strongly. And so, if one were trying to, you know, do a quite serious retreat, then, you know, it's often advised to avoid those. And some of you might know the practice of the Mahayana precepts, and that's kind of explicitly in the precepts. Yeah, so that's one thing. The other thing, right, is, remember when we're talking about the motivation for our doing the practice, right, is that we can be of more benefit to all sentient beings. Okay, so then, in terms of becoming vegetarian, then I mean the sort of essence of Buddhism is, you know, non-harming, ahimsa, right? And so, regardless of whether or not it's best for our meditation practice, right? In my opinion, if we think well about the state of the world, we think about the plight of, you know, animals that are being exploited and killed, right? We think about the environmental effects of factory farming and so forth. If you do a bit of research, then it becomes, I mean, I don't know, for me, a little bit clear that the type of diet that is most kind of concordant with the values that I'm trying to live with is for sure vegetarian. And you know, recently I've even you know, I'm trying to be vegan as much as possible. So yeah, and I would say, even if it were the reverse, me personally, if they came out the next day and said, actually, your meditation is going to be, you know, worse by giving up non-veg, I'll say, okay, I'll take that, you know, because, yeah, I mean, the essence is trying to have compassion for all living beings, you know. So even if there's some small sacrifice on my part, okay, my meditation is worse. Or even if they say, oh, your health is going to be worse, It's like, okay, I don't consider myself, well, I'm trying to work on cherishing others more than myself, right? So anyway, but because you asked, it does so happen in the traditional text, it does say that, giving those things up also will be better for your meditation. But I'm saying, even if they weren't, we would still have something to think about. Anyway. Any other questions?
I think there was some hand raised by Mrinalini.
Okay, yeah.
And then Bringy next. Yeah.
Oh, yes, okay.
I have a question. I have a question about Pratima, and I have been talking about this.
Bringy, just a second. It was Mrinalini who was supposed to ask first, and then you can go after that. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Mrinalini will ask a question, and then after she's done, then you can ask a question.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Shall I go ahead, Venerable?
Yeah.
This side. Yeah. My question is about today's meditation.
About what?
About today's meditation.
Okay, yeah.
We started with the breath, focus on the breath, and then loosen, as you mentioned, that awareness. But after that, I got lost when you said subject and object. Place your mind somewhere. I need more clarity there. At the end of the meditation, where should that awareness should be?
Okay, yeah. So when we go from the breath, right, we have this, we're just focusing on the sensations in the body. Then loosen, and we allow just the awareness of the thoughts. Maybe there's sensations in the body. If there's not other thoughts or strong physical sensations, maybe the breath is still going to be the most prevalent thing. Okay. So what I was saying with the loosen here is there is still a kind of thought that, I am the observer. I'm observing the pain in my knee. I'm observing, oh, now I am thinking about what I'm going to have for lunch, right? So this is what I was saying, the subject-object duality, okay? Subject being me, the object being, whatever I am experiencing, okay? So now we sort of loosen that. Okay, so all of these experiences, we're now when we bring it to this ocean analogy, those are the fish, right? So now we want to kind of not be so focused on, okay, there's the thought, oh, there's the pain, this is the experience, this, but rather zoom out and just kind of, there's only the awareness, right? And so in this great kind of vastness of our experience, right, there's just, it's very hard to explain, there's just the awareness. What I was saying with the medium where these different experiences are coming from. Okay? So practically speaking, you see, you're just being. Sometimes they say this is like meditation without meditation, right? You're just sort of, there's just experience. Don't think, okay, I'm meditating, or what should I be meditating on? Just allow whatever that's going to happen to arise in this vast expanse of experience. And, rest in that. We're trying to identify this medium, right? So it's almost like, do the fish see the water, right? So it's quite subtle like that, but we keep, go ahead.
I had a small experience.
Okay.
During this, what you mentioned, I just saw some kind of, my attention was brought to some kind of light. So, something like that, coming, going.
Right.
Golden. Something.
Yeah. So, and this is the thing, right? If once we start practicing for long enough, we're going to have so many different experiences come, So don't have don't have clinging, don't have aversion, just allow the experience to unfold. And we have awareness of even that,
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Couple of things. One is, I'm not able to visualize a blue sky. It's always this dark backgrounds that I get. Is that okay?
Yeah. Well, so first of all, okay. Again, this ocean or the sky, it's not really a visualization per se, It's more like just trying to get us having this sense of a great wide expanse,
Yes, that I get.
Right. So, it's really not blue. I mean, the nature of the mind isn't blue, the nature of the mind isn't water. It's not the ocean. These are examples by which we're, trying to point at something that actually is quite, it's quite subtle. So it's very difficult to explain, right? There's another Zen saying, right? Like the finger pointing to the moon is not the moon. Right. So similarly, yes, the mind is we can say the mind is like the sky, but it's not the sky. The mind is like the ocean, but it's not the ocean. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Great. Thank you. The other observation is that I'm now less worried about time. In fact, I find the 10 minutes to be fairly short.
Good.
It gets over before you know it. And then,
okay.
So I'm now able to do maybe 45 minutes.
Okay.
With the breaks in the structure that you had suggested, but it gets over too fast.
Sure. So, okay. In general, that's very good. And that is actually a sign that, it is proper for you to start increasing your meditation session. If after some level of practice, you're now feeling that, oh, wow, what? That was 10 minutes? It felt like 2 minutes,
Yeah.
That is, that's the sign, you can start increasing, right? I like to tell people, we start with 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because we start slow and we want to get to a point where that feels like, what? It's done already, But if we start with 45 minutes, some of you might feel like, it's one of those great countless eons we were talking about, and it become torture.
Thank you. I'll work on that.
Yeah. But for the rest of you, you know, don't think like, oh man, this guy's doing 45 minutes. I got to do 45 minutes now. No, it's not a competition, you know. It's not like
It's 3 pieces of about 10 minutes each, actually.
right.
I don't know whether I'd get to 45 in one stretch or not.
Right. And that's also good to do. It's actually better to do more shorter sessions than fewer longer sessions, if you know what I mean. So if you were going to do 30 minutes total, you know, to do 2 15-minute sessions, 3 10-minute sessions is you know, is quite good.
Thank you.
Okay, Nitesh, I see you raising your hand.
Yeah, I have a question about when we're using our breath, sometimes what you mentioned that our object of attention changes to whatever is on our mind. And sometimes that is what is needing more attention. So when I do that, right after the meditation, I feel really heavy and I feel exhausted as well. And sometimes I don't want that object to be my object of attention. I want to go back to breath, but it's very difficult. What are some of the antidotes that, or should we use any antidotes, or what is that we should do at that point of time?
Okay, good question. And this actually is this is a good segue into what I should be covering in the lecture. And I'm just looking at the time, and it's you know, we have a few things to go over. So I'm going to use this question as the segue into the main content of today's talk. Okay, and so I will address this question in the context of the talk, because in this talk we're going to be talking about some of the obstacles to meditation. Okay, all right, so have a little bit of patience, and I will get there, I promise. But I gotta sort of do my job here, otherwise yeah, you won't have received all of the kind of topics that should be covered in this course. I mean, that being said, I do very much appreciate everyone's questions, and it shows that you're engaged with the material, engaged with your meditation practice. And, you know, if there are some, you know, misconceptions or doubts about how these meditations should be working, it's better to address that now before you sort of get into bad habits, because sometimes, yeah, you could misunderstand, or maybe I didn't explain properly how these meditations should be working, and you meditate in a kind of, you know, strange way. Like maybe, I don't know, let's just say some of you was meditating like that your mind is the big blue sky, you know, and yeah, you do that for a long time. Yeah. Okay. But what I wanted to say is here in the course syllabus, we were supposed to go over again these meditations that are, you know, categorized in various ways, right? So we talked about the analytic and stabilizing meditations, right? But another way to think about it is some of the meditations that we do, okay? Remember when we were talking about stabilizing meditations, we have like meditation on the breath, where we have a discrete object, the breath, and we place our mind on that. We stabilize our mind on that, hence stabilizing meditation. The other type of meditation, analytic meditation, we are going through a process of analysis to arrive at a certain conclusion, and then we hold our mind in that conclusion, okay? But now, one thing that is good to just to differentiate, right? when we talk about meditation being familiarization, then when we meditate on love or metta, for example, yeah, loving kindness, you see, we use the process of analysis, we use the process of reasoning to arrive at a certain conclusion, right? That doesn't come up naturally by itself on its own, right? Okay, when we meditate on the breath, there's always the breath. We don't have to do something to contrive, right? We don't have to do something to evoke the breath. We're naturally breathing because we're alive, right? But for us, well, for me, I should say, these thoughts of loving kindness or compassion, something quite virtuous like this, it doesn't arise very naturally. So we use the analysis, we use the analytic meditation to evoke something, conjure up something, you know what I mean? Conjure up something that's not naturally present. And every time we do that, it becomes then easier for the virtuous thought, like loving kindness or compassion, to arise. Okay? Now, what is actually happening when we do that, now here, when there's another way to categorize our meditations, and that is by, when we meditate on love, we're actually evoking this mind of love in our continua. And every time we do that, it gets stronger. But when we do another kind of meditation, like meditation on impermanence or emptiness, okay, we take a certain phenomena, whether it be ourselves or a table, chair, and then we use analysis to investigate how that phenomena actually exists. And because so some of you might have heard of the 4 distortions, okay? So normally these 4 distortions are, we normally cling to things that are impermanent as being permanent, okay? We normally cling to things that are actually impure in nature as being pure, or sources of kind of uncontaminated happiness. And we cling on to things that are actually not possessing a self or intrinsic nature. We cling on to it as having intrinsic nature. Yeah. And yeah, sorry, was that the 4? So the impure is pure, and the things that are suffering in nature, actually, we think them as being, not suffering. Understand? So those are the 4. What is actually impermanent, we cling to be permanent. What is actually impure, we cling to be pure. What is actually suffering in nature, we cling to be, not suffering. And what is actually selfless in nature, we cling to, it having a self. So with the other kind of meditation, when we meditate on impermanence, it is more like we have a mind that realizes the nature of a certain object. So we realize the impermanent nature of ourselves. We realize the contaminated nature of samsaric qualities, of things that have arisen due to contaminated karma and the afflictions. We see that those are actually suffering in nature. Do you understand? So this is different from evoking a mind of compassion, right? The other type of analysis, we realize something, we realize a sort of property of the object that we're analyzing, right? So we take as the basis, say, ourself, and we say, okay, am I permanent or impermanent? We do some analysis, we have a discovery, oh, actually, I'm impermanent, and we hold our mind on that, right? Do you see how this is different from the loving kindness? The loving kindness will think of all the reasons, right? And we evoke this sense of, may all beings be happy, right? But this mind, may all beings be happy, it's different than the self is impermanent, right? Impermanence is a quality of the self. But you see, this mind of love is more in a sort of wishing, wishing that beings be happy. So do you see the difference? And then there's a third type of, meditation, analysis, analytic meditation, where, let's say, we take an object of our faith, like the three jewels, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. We recall their qualities, and again, we have a kind of aspiring mind to develop those qualities within ourselves. Do you understand? So anyway, those are a little bit of to further kind of categorize these different kinds of meditation beyond just the mere analytic and stabilization.
Could you repeat the third kind, please?
Third, yes. So the third kind is we take an object of faith, or an object of good qualities that we admire, like the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, right? Recalling those qualities of the Buddha, we then develop a mind that aspires to develop those qualities within ourselves. Okay, so it's this more kind of an aspirational, meditation. Yes? Oh, okay. All right. So that is just some more kind of, laying out the various kinds of meditation. And now we had the next topic, the obstacles to meditation. Okay. So now here, yeah, hold on. Right. Okay. I wanted to quote the traditional, Sanskrit text by Maitreya, who many of you might know is the next Buddha to come, but he actually appeared in the Buddha Shakyamuni's retinue in the form of Bodhisattva, and then he composed 5 texts that he gave to Arya Sangha after the very famous story of a Sangha seeing Maitreya in the form of a dog. Anyway, if you don't know that story, not really time to go over it now, but suffice it to say, Asanga was then, given these texts by Maitreya, and this actually becomes the basis for the practice of how to attain the state of shamatha, or calm abiding mind. So in that, Maitreya says that, staying with that joyous perseverance, your mind becomes serviceable and you attain all goals. This occurs as a result of eliminating the 5 faults and relying on the 8 antidotes. The 5 faults, this is the 5 faults of meditation, are laziness, forgetting the instructions, laxity and excitement, non-application, and application. Okay, so I'm going to explain. Okay, so the laziness is, basically not doing our meditation, right? Not exerting effort into our practice. Okay, and we'll talk about the antidotes in a second. Forgetting the instructions is actually forgetting the object of meditation. And this is what we were even saying last week, where, if you're trying to cultivate a certain kind of meditation, let's say you're meditating on loving kindness, and these thoughts of impermanence come up, then to start to think about impermanence in the context of a meditation on loving kindness actually is an obstacle. Okay? It's an obstacle given the fact that you are in a session trying to cultivate loving kindness. There will be other opportunities, other contexts where you should, and you will hopefully, try to meditate on impermanence. But, there's a time and a place for everything. So in the context of loving kindness meditation, even a thought of impermanence coming is a hindrance, is an obstacle. Okay? So forgetting the instructions means losing the object of meditation. And, even on a more sort of mundane level, many of us experience this when we're trying to meditate on the breath, different thoughts coming up, and we go, follow those thoughts, we then lose our object of meditation, the breath, right? So yes, of course, that's a very obvious hindrance. But what I was just emphasizing is, even if our mind goes to a virtuous object in general, when we are trying to do another kind of meditation, it also is a hindrance, okay? So then we have laxity or drowsiness, dullness, right? This, we all have experience with, feeling like we want to fall asleep while we meditate. And then excitement is, a mind that is going to one thing or another, right? Jumping around, not staying on the object. And so then we have the next faults of non-application and application. Okay, so here, maybe actually I should start with the antidotes, okay? Because, let's press pause and we'll start with the antidotes. So the antidotes, the 8 antidotes Maitreya is saying is the basis. That means yearning, right? What that means is, we yearn, we know about the good qualities that will come from our meditation practice, the good qualities that will arise from having trained our mind in that way. Okay, then when we see the good qualities of the result, then based on that we make effort. Okay, right? So with anything that we're trying to do, when we see the benefits of let's say working out, okay, we'll get into shape, we'll have better health, we'll have low blood pressure, all these things, then we make effort, right? If we don't see what the point is, what the sort of benefit is, then why go through all this hard work, right? So in that way, seeing the benefits of our meditation, we then make effort. When we start to make effort, we then see some results in our practice that causes us to have confidence that this practice is leading to our desired result. And then after a while, the effect here, they're talking about pliancy. And so actually what this means is the single-pointed concentration, or shamatha, actually is conjoined with a lot of physical and mental pliancy. Pliancy, this word, it means like serviceability. So right now, when we meditate, we try to give our mind a simple task like staying on the breath for a certain number of minutes, and we find it so difficult. But after a while, we gain such mastery over our minds that then our mind will then focus on any object we ask it to. Okay, so that is the overall effect, right? That's the fruit of our practice, is to have this calm, abiding mind, this mind of shamatha. Okay, and that is actually, once we have that, there's no more laziness. Okay, so remember, we had 5 faults and 8 antidotes. So those first 4 antidotes are the antidotes to the first fault of laziness. You understand? Okay. So then the next antidote is, the antidote for forgetting the instructions is not forgetting the object of meditation. Okay. And that's what we need mindfulness for. Mindfulness in the context of the shamatha meditation, remember, is remembering the object of meditation. Okay. Now, laxity and excitement, right? The antidote to that is recognizing that there is laxity and excitement in the mind. And the mind that does that is what we were talking about last week, this mind of introspection, right? The internal quality control of our meditation, where we see, is there laxity, is there excitement, what's going on in our minds, and then applying the necessary antidotes, right? All right. So now, what are those necessary antidotes? Okay. So when we have the mind that's getting distracted, okay, is going on to different objects, then remember, the breath, we were saying, is always in the present moment. The sensation in the body as we breathe in and out are only in the present. So normally our mind, when it gets distracted, is thinking about the future, it's remembering the past. So in general, when we can come back to the breath, and this is why we start our meditation sessions with some meditation on the breath, gives us that, centered coming back to the present. Okay. So next thing we can do, if the breath doesn't work, sometimes, and I think we'll do this maybe next week or the week after, there is the other kind of meditation where we visualize the Buddha, for example. Okay, we'll visualize the Buddha in the space in front of us, about the size of a thumb. Okay, and then at the forehead level, about 2 meters away, we visualize the Buddha. We use that as the object of meditation. So to visualize the Buddha, very heavy, although is sort of suspended by a lotus and throne, we imagine very heavy. This can also bring the sort of distracted thoughts, bring down that energy. Okay. And then to also visualize the object as being very small, then it focuses the mind, right? Whereas the mind of distraction is very scattered. So, other things we can then do, right? When the mind has a lot of distraction, it's like those winds, those energies, right? They're too active. So what we try, another thing we can do is we concentrate at our navel chakra and visualize a small seed there, the top half white, lower half red. Okay, you can try that. Then the next antidote for distraction is to engage in a short reflection on a sobering subject, such as death and impermanence, or the suffering of samsara, the suffering of ourselves, the suffering of others. So this can also be effective, especially if our mind is wandering off to objects of attachment during the meditation. Okay. And then also we can check our physical posture. So sometimes if, our head, that's kind of why we just tuck it in slightly like this. It can, sort of, if we are kind of focused too much up, the energies, the winds kind of, scatter a bit. So we just tuck our head in. That sometimes can help. And then, on a more practical level also, if there is more light in the room, that can also create more kind of excitement and distraction. So, turn the lights down. And then sort of always remember to be patient and easygoing with yourself, because these obstacles do arise. And so if we get agitated, quite agitated that, oh, why am I getting so distracted? Then, we create more energy in the mind. And that actually is counterproductive. Okay. So now on the flip side, for drowsiness or dullness, here again, if we're sort of drooping down our posture, then also our mind droops down. So we can, make sure that we're straight, right? And then this is what I was saying with keeping the eyes just slightly open. So just as when there's too much light, we can get very, scattered and too much kind of energy, nervous energy arising. So when we are trying to meditate with eyes closed, sometimes this feeling of drowsiness can take over. So that's why we keep the eyes just a little bit open, and make sure that there's enough light in the room. And then remember that seed at our navel chakra. Then we can think that, well, instead of it being down at the navel chakra, we can imagine that it shoots up through the center channel and out through the crown of our head, right? And then goes out into space, into this, blissful, spacious energy and light, that can also brighten up the mind. And then we can reflect on something joyful, right? So like the precious human rebirth, the qualities of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, the qualities and kindness of our Guru. And then, get enough sleep, right? So that, again, is very important. So yeah, for many, many levels, we want to, not sort of torture ourselves and, think that we have to, get up at 3 in the morning and do our meditation. But, if we meditate with a mind of bodhicitta, with a motivation to benefit others, then even sleeping, we think that we're sleeping so we can, rest and rejuvenate our body and mind, so we can continue our practices and activities to benefit others. Okay? So, yeah. Okay, that's that. That is the questions that or the topics that I was supposed to cover in the lecture today. So now we're going to introduce the next meditation, which will then become your homework for the next week. Okay? So this is a analytic meditation on transforming negative experiences into positive. Okay? All right. So don't worry if those 8 antidotes, 5 hindrances, if you didn't get it all, those are found in most of the meditation texts. It's found in Lam Rim. So later you'll definitely see that in some of the texts you'll be studying. I mean, if you continue to study. So that's just a little intro. Okay, so now why don't we just do some learning by doing? Let's just do it, and I will explain the instructions as we go, and we'll learn that way. Okay. All right, but just a little introduction because it has here. So yeah, anyway, no, let's not do that. Okay, let's just start because we're running out of time. All right, so please get into a comfortable meditation posture. Then we can start the meditation by, focusing on the breath. Since we did the 9-round breathing at the beginning, now we can just do the simple counting the breaths meditation. So wherever the breath is manifesting in the body, just hone in on those sensations. Inhale, exhale, count 1. Inhale, exhale, count 2, and so forth. And then we can just take one moment to refresh our motivation to think that, we're doing this meditation so we can develop our internal qualities, so we can be of more benefit to ourselves and others. And now we can do the actual meditation. So here, analysis, analytic meditation. So we're using our conceptual mind to think and draw certain conclusions, draw certain lessons. So here, I want us all to think about our day and the experiences you've had during today, or it could be yesterday, in the recent history. And then especially think of some difficult situations that may have arisen, situations in which you may have become impatient, lost your temper, seen others as problems or enemies, and maybe even, lashed out verbally. So now that situation is over, but we use our memory and we sort of replay it. We remember what happened from beginning to end, try to really go through that situation, go through the replay, and then just watch and observe your mind and your behavior as you replay the situation. But now, as we remember from our mindfulness practice, we can disidentify with those feelings and actions. So to think, those are not me, but just, again, to watch and observe dispassionately. Okay, so take a few moments and replay that provocative situation. And so now think about the disadvantages and the harmful nature of the negative responses that took place during that situation. How did you feel when you were impatient, angry, upset? What was the mind like? Did you feel happy, comfortable, or at peace? Did that internal mental state cause you to do things with your body or your speech that then harmed others? And did those actions that then harmed others, did that help? Did it make the situation better, easier? Did it bring a positive solution? Did it help yourself or anyone else to feel good, to understand each other better, to gain clarity and closure to the situation? So remember, it's getting your own answers to these questions, you know? So use your own analysis, come to your own conclusions, and then hold your mind in that conclusion. And so now we think about how we might have handled the situation differently if we had had a calm, balanced, and open attitude rather than reacting with anger, impatience, or resentment. So think about how yours and others' experience of the situation might have been different had your mind been different at that time. And then think how wonderful it would have been to be able to have managed these difficult situations with a calm and peaceful mind, uncontrolled by the anger and agitation, frustration. Now we can replay the entire situation again from beginning to end, imagining it completely differently. Think of that same situation and imagine yourself reacting perfectly with warmth and openness towards others, with a calm and balanced mind, and without anger. So here we use our imagination to think how the situation might have been different. And now, how is it different? How does it feel at the end of that situation? How would you be feeling? How would others be feeling? So now, seeing the relative benefits of reacting in a calm and balanced way, and the relative disadvantage of reacting with Okay, I think I got cut off there for a second. So we were just now at the end thinking we're making a strong determination that next time we find ourselves in these difficult situations, that we would then take a step back and respond with openness and patience. And not give in to the impatience and agitation and anger. So when you feel that strong determination to act in this more positive, balanced way in the future, just let your mind rest in that. And now we dedicate the positive energy from our practice for all sentient beings, that they can quickly be free of all their suffering and abide in the state of enlightenment as quickly as possible. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I hope that was okay. That was analytic meditation. So that's what we were talking about, using the kind of reflection, using the conceptual thought to analyze, and then sort of drawing certain conclusions that we then let sink into our mind. So, yeah, are there any questions about that practice? Yes, Nitesh.
Sometimes I feel that I don't want to go through that situation. You know, being an observer, it's difficult to relive that situation when I'm visualizing it. So I stop myself, and the meditation is lost, and then I try to come back to it again. But it's
Right.
sometimes a challenging process to live through that. What do you do in that situation?
For sure, yeah. So, you know, in general, we would, again, just like when we start with meditation, we start with 10 minutes. So we try to do something easier and then go to more difficult. So what would be good is choose a relatively minor, time when we're agitated. So, we get stuck in traffic. We, are on hold for too long, calling, Airtel customer service, whatever it is, some kind of relatively minor situation, right? Because, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, many of us, we have some might have some very deep kind of, trauma or, abuse or something in the past. So don't start off with those really, really heavy experiences. Do something quite, relatively minor irritation. And then we build the sort of skill to kind of, work with those smaller things. And then we go on to bigger things. Any other questions?
That was great.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So your homework is so you do the daily meditation like you did last week, right? Starting with the breath, going on to bare attention, going on to mind like the sky, and then if you I think at the end of the day, before you go to bed, it's very good to do this one. You kind of reflect on what you've done over the day and try to learn from it. Those of you who are more experienced practitioners, you can also do like a 4 point of powers type meditation. But if you don't know what that means, then I'm not going to explain it right now, right? But basically, review your day and try to learn from it and make some commitment to react and act differently in the future. Okay. All right. So let us just now again with the we did a dedication at the end of the meditation, but now is the end of the session. So same thing. But yeah, to dedicate all the positive energy that we've created in our time here today for all sentient beings and for them to be quickly freed from all their suffering and attain the state of enlightenment as quickly as possible. And since we're sentient beings too, that includes us, okay? All right, so thank you very much. We will send out that, just this handout on the handout number 8, okay? Transforming negative experiences into positive. So just those, I think it's just, 2 pages. So we'll send that out and then you can add that to your repertoire of meditation. And thank you all for coming. Thank you all for your hard work and perseverance, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rejoice, everyone.
Thank you.